I am playing Factorio while waiting to start with the pod with the creator of of Factorio. So it's exciting times. And am I able to play this or not? What's wrong? My controls are messed up. Ah, there we go. Okay. So I should have our guest with us in a bit. Michael Kovrek is a Czech game developer, best known as the co-founder and creative head of Woob Software. The studio began behind the global indie hit Factorio. Under his online alias Kovarex, Kovarik began the Factorio project in 2012 with a vision to blend his favorite game elements, trains, base building, logistics, and automation, into a new kind of construction and management simulation. Initially funded via a modest Indiegogo campaign, Factorio blossomed from a garage project into one of Steam's top rated games, praised for its deep automation gameplay and technical excellence. Kovarik guided Factorio through an 8-year development in open alpha early access, cultivating a passionate player community through regular Friday Facts blog updates. By 2024, Factorio had sold over 4 million copies worldwide, all without ever going on sale. Michael now leads a team of 30 in Prague, renowned for their principled business approach, no discounts, no DRM, and a fan centric development style. And he's gearing up for new horizons with Factorio's upcoming space age expansion and future projects. Okay.
Hello.
Hi, hi. So I can hear you, but not the mic. I think. No video yet.
Yeah, I don't have a web camera set up yet. So is it? Do you need web camera?
Yeah. If you we can do audio too, but if there's a web camera, it would be easier.
Well, I don't have it set up on my computer. I'm sorry. I moved places and it's not set up
Okay.
yet. So it would take another like half an
All
hour
right.
to
No
set it
worries.
up.
No worries.
So
No worries. No
so
worries. So welcome. Uh, I did the pre-show intro already. We are actually live on X and Twitch.
okay.
Uh, yep, we're just messing around. So welcome, Michael.
So yeah, sorry for being late. There were some technical difficulties with Firefox not being supported, etc. But it seems to be. So sorry for the delay.
No worries. Um,
Yeah.
so welcome. This is uh, and I have probably lost maybe like several months of my life to Factorio.
I mean, it's not lost, right? Like my friends always saying that time having fun is time greatly spent, right?
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Every time I pick up the game, I don't know. 2 weeks later, I'm like, I have to stop.
It really depends how you feel. I mean, actually, this is might be related to some of the topics we might be talking about, but it's really interesting to kind of think about like when you are doing something and you can't stop doing it, and after you stop you very often think, oh, I had a good time, or oh, I hated that, but I couldn't stop. And like for example, when people are watching YouTube shorts and things like that, or
Yeah,
when I'm watching YouTube shorts for an hour, which sometimes happens until I block them completely, I feel like, oh, this was really bad. I couldn't stop, but I didn't want to do it. I feel like this was a wasted time. But when I'm playing a good game for, I don't know, many hours and I stop, I'm like, yeah, this was fun. I am, like this differentiation between having a good time and enjoying it, or just being captive into something that you actually hate. So I hope that it's the first case. Like I hope that your time with Factorio didn't feel like spending 2 hours on TikTok.
indeed. I think the um, especially for certain engineers, the moment you start playing the game, you get obsessed with it. You get obsessed with the optimization, the building, the advancement, figuring out how to optimize better, and then
How
and
to
then
scale up?
yeah, how to scale up faster, which arrangement of conveyor belts and smelters and ore smelters and mining equipment is going to deliver the maximum throughput at that point in time with the technology that you have available at that
hmm
time, rather, right? Because as the technology changes, your base layout and how things are structured need to change,
And actually,
right?
I have like a very recent kind of experience with playing Factorio now, because I'm playing with my son who is nine
Uh-huh.
years old, and we just played today for like 2 hours, and we just finishing the first three planets on the space age. This is
Mm-hmm.
like we never got so far together,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also hooked. Like, and because my son was actually born like I think one in the same week when Factory was released on Steam, so his age is the same as age of Factory on Steam, and he's old enough to play with me and finish, which is kind of crazy. And he enjoy like it's really interesting to see how I think the first time when he played, he was like 4,
Yeah.
and he's picking more and more advanced things to focus.
Uh-huh.
When he's 4, he was like, "Oh, I can mine trees, yay!" And then when he was like 5 or 6, like, "I will make a wall around this place," to protect from biters, etc., etc. And now he's like, Father, our Yumako production is not enough. We need to move this and that. Like he's starting to get deeper and deeper as he's getting older, which I think is really nice. How as he's getting older, he's getting to the later stages of the game, and for me, it's a good sign. That's kind of uh, it's everyone can find something, based on your level.
One of the marks of a good game is easy to pick up, but
Ideally, yeah.
yeah,
That
but
was
many layers, right?
you,
You
you know
know,
you know very I don't know if you saw some of my interviews, but probably I repeat this often. That easy to pick up and hard to master. It's like it's our credo. It's something we try to think about a lot because me and my friend who started Tomáš
Tomas.
Kozarek,
Yeah.
yeah, we started doing it together, and we both are Go players. And I think
Oh, both
this
of you
is
play Go.
yeah, yeah. And he's
Oh,
like, and we played quite a lot. Like he's like 4 dan and I'm 2 dan, so it's like we are not like we 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 had
wow,
we played like 100 tournaments each of us. So no, it's not like we
wow,
just play Go. We played it quite a lot. And
wow.
and by the way, fun fact, I randomly encountered that on some Go tournament I met a guy who I knew
Uh,
from a video, and he's the speedrunner of Factorio. Actually, like I think one of the world record holders. I was like, hey, I know you. You are the speedrunner, right? What are you doing here? It's like, yeah, always he also plays Go, which is kind of interesting how it's connecting. But anyway, back to the Go. So Go is like I would say the guide because it's the perfect example of game where the simple rules are simple and the possibilities are endless. And because we enjoy this concept, we naturally were kind of thinking about making sure that this concept can be kind of exists in our game. Yeah.
since you mentioned Go, I have to ask. Obviously, uh, Google put together AlphaGo, and
Mm-hmm.
then they had the tournament in South
Yeah.
Korea with Lisa Dole, where Lisa Dole, lost. There was this move 37,
Mm-hmm.
which they felt, Lisa Dole felt that a human player would not have made that move, but it was specifically,
But it was
outstanding.
not just the move 37 generally. Like I think it was a big lesson, the AI in Go, because obviously, like I stopped playing for like 12 years. Like I
Hmm.
played a lot before AI, and then after AI, I got back to Go. Like the last
Hmm.
2 years, I play quite a lot again,
Hmm.
and it was really interesting to observe the change. Like many things changed, and I think the lesson for me was that in the game, very often people were like there was like this group illusion, like everyone knew that yeah, you never play this move because the result is bad for you, so only beginners would play this move.
Hmm.
And in the beginning everyone explained to beginners, yeah, this move is bad because of this, and everyone respected this
Hmm.
rule. And AI was like, oh well, AI was figuring things on itself and found out, yeah, but you can play this move and just play a different variation that no one thought of, which is pretty simple. And suddenly the move became widely used. And I think this is applicable in many things where people just kind of don't explore deeper some some kind of
The pro
variations or ideas that are kind of discarded already. Kind of,
Right, right.
yeah,
The w- you must have watched the AlphaGo
yeah,
tournament.
yeah.
What
I
what
was
what
watching
did
it.
you feel while you were watching the tournament series?
Well, at the time I didn't actively play,
Yeah.
but I felt honestly I was sad in a way.
Oh.
It's conflicting feelings, but as a programmer I was happy, like yeah, they finally corrected it. But on the other hand, as a Go player, I was sad because a lot of things I felt at the time that a lot of things were lost. That suddenly, I don't know, like the value of being a really strong player. Like before AI, when you played on a tournament and you lost a game, sometimes it was obvious where you made a mistake, but sometimes it was like, yeah, it just went worse and worse and you lost. And you had no idea. And the only way to figure out what's going on was to find some better player that would
Hmm.
explain your mistakes to you. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, so this means the value of being a better player was many things, and top of it, it was the fact that it's the only source of information for the weaker players. And suddenly, this was not completely, but partially lost. Suddenly, like everyone has access to AI, and you can immediately look, oh, this is where the mistake will happen, etc. So I felt like one of the and part of the magic kind of is a little bit lost. Like before, it's like, is this move good? Is it this move bad? It's a mystery. Like we can try to play with it. Maybe we can, but now it's like much more. You much more specifically know with the
Mm-hmm.
AI. So I was afraid that it would basically be be bad for the game, but then like contradictory to this, I got back to go in the beginning. Like I was curious what changed. Like what is the new styles? What did the AI discovered? And then obviously when I started to play, I kind of accepted the fact that yeah, like we are not like as humans trying to improve, so we kind of uh, push to knowledge. It's basically becomes a sport in a sense of like it's just a sport. It's about like how well you sleep, how well you practice, how well you focus compared to the other player, and doesn't really matter. You will never be better to so. I would compare it to like when you can still go to running tournaments and you don't
Mm-hmm.
care that there are cars, you don't care that there
Right.
are planes. You just do this competition against people. So
Mm-hmm.
once you accept this, it's kind of okay, and the AI makes sense. And obviously later on, this is maybe a little bit more too specific, but I still think it's interesting because it's related. It's actually quite a lot related because then eventually when you start studying with AI, you realize you need a teacher anyway because it's not that simple. Like AI tells you, like, yeah, this move loses 2 points, and you
Mm-hmm.
made some theory in your head like, oh, it loses 2 points because of this, but then you start like looking at the variations like, oh no, I don't get it. It's suddenly, for example, AI tells you that some move is better, but the reason is better that you need to play some s- stupidly complex variation with full of this, which is super precisely for 20 moves to
Mm-hmm.
prove that it's 2 points better. And if you make a single little mistake, suddenly it's 20 points worse. So the
Mm-hmm.
point is like it's theoretically, but so this is where what we kind of realize that some moves are theoretically better, but practically they are not playable. Practically they are mistakes. Or like,
Mm-hmm.
or you play the mad bet move, and I tells you, yeah, it's okay move. You didn't lose almost nothing because you are playing it with some intention, but AI is thinking maybe, oh yeah, I can still sacrifice the stone in a reasonable way, so I don't mind that you played here. But if you as a human had the intention to play it and make a group or something, which is not possible, you are kind of coming down to a rabbit hole, and you think the mistake was somewhere later on, but the mistake was much sooner because the AI doesn't understand your intent when evaluating your moves,
Mm-hmm.
which all are kind of could be parallels, I think, to how we work with, you know, other AIs now or in the future. That like basically people are kind of trying to figure out how to make AI, for example, AI which would play like simple moves but good ones but not really hard ones, or
Mm-hmm.
AI
Mm-hmm.
which would try to somehow explain why it did play some of the moves, and it's basically there's no progress in it yet, and it's really really hard. And I think this is probably related to the parts where I was seeing some things about like the LLMs, where they try to make it somehow explain how it figured out something, and
Mm-hmm.
usually it's completely unrelated, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
give you an answer, you ask it like, why did you answer this, like how did you come up with this, and the answer has nothing to do with the mental process, I mean, quote unquote, mental process of figuring out the answers. It's just trying to figure out some what could be the mental process in the past. It's like doesn't remember its own way of thinking. So I think this is related, right?
I think of it sometimes as you have a probability space of solutions for Go or for LLMs like the next word, like the latent
Mm,
space of solutions, and humans only explore certain branches of that or certain parts of that probability space, and machines can explore more of that probability space perhaps, but that doesn't mean that it makes sense to humans to go there. Um, I don't know. I think all of us have different ways of like uh, imagining it to ourselves to try and explain what's going on. And perhaps like in certain problem spaces like in Go, uh, it's funny because even though Go is a game, I think the players probably have a better sense that there is a probability space of solutions out there, which you
What
don't
do you
see in
mean?
like reasoning, for
Not
example.
not not actually in Go. It's not. I don't think it's the case because the Go engine, the way it works is that you have like two parts of the engine. One is this intuition. It kind of looks at the board and kind of tries to figure out which moves look like sensible moves, and then
Hmm.
it uses normal minimax,
Hmm.
basically counting. But in every move, it because there are too many variations, it kind of minimize the amount of variation, but counting only the variation that the intuitions. Because this is basically mimicking how human players are calculating. Like you only
Right.
calculate things that make sense to you. But the point is that if you take only this, and this is what we call like some, let's say, like how many variations you explore with the intuition. And even if you explore like one variation, which means you only play the move that seems reasonable to AI without calculating anything, still it's stronger than human, which means even the intuition on its own is stronger than human. It's not like it has to explore many, maybe like internally you can think that the network is exploring something, uh, but it's still even identification better. And I think a lot of I remember like few years ago or decade ago, people were always saying like, yeah, computers are this and that, but they will never, and they were always putting things like they will never have intuition or they will never come up with the
Hmm.
new ideas. And I was always had to laugh like, why do you think that? Like, how did you come up with that? And now I don't know if the people that were always saying it are kind of trying to, oh, I was like, trying to realize that they were wrong or not. I don't know. But you agree that these things are. I don't know if were you also kind of annoyed when people were saying these things, like computers will never come up with new ideas, things like that.
I mean, to me, it was relatively obvious that they would come up with new ideas. But I also have this viewpoint that sometimes humans don't recognize those new ideas. Kind of like we design like if we designed an AI and the AI only spoke like once every like 100 years, we would basically just call it useless, right? Like a rock. Like we wouldn't call it
Hmm.
intelligent in any sense. So for something to demonstrate intelligence to us, it has to fall within our perception window, which is kind of
Hmm.
like you need to respond in kind of like latency that I respect
Hmm.
as like an intelligent person, and you need to say something in a language that I understand, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like we don't call like molecules like intelligent because they don't speak in a language that we actually communicate, right? So I feel like there's this like perception window that you have like anything that we are going to consider intelligence is going to have to fall into that tiny perception window, because there may be intelligences that compute once a decade or whatever, but we wouldn't call them intelligence, right? So
Well, if it
um,
comp if it writes something once a day, it's enough, right?
right.
but yeah.
It's
Okay.
one of Andrei Karpathy's I think one of the things that he talks about is that maybe as the AIs get better and better, at some point they will go off for 2 or 3 years to think about a problem, and they won't really talk to you anymore. So because those problems are bigger, harder problems, and they need that time to compute, right? So um, anyway, going back to Factorio.
Hmm.
Factorio was one of the creator of the automation game space
Hmm.
when it came out. Um, why do you think it was attractive as an idea to you to build out this game that basically the whole point of it was to create, but then to also automate that process of creation?
Well, as I said many times, it basically wasn't like my idea that I would come up with. It was I was playing the industrial craft, which was it still exists, but already
Mm-hmm.
at the time it was a mod for Minecraft where you could do some kind of automation and industrial machines in
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft. And I was playing it, and I first played for a while to discover what it can do, and it's like, okay, let me start over, the typical thing that factory players do. And I started over. I remember this feeling was like, oh, like I came to an empty world, like pristine world with trees and mountains. I was like, wow, this is, the possibilities are endless. You know, this feeling of like this will become something different, and I kind of, about all the possibilities, how I can build it, how, what I can do. And basically when I was playing it, I enjoyed it so much, but then obviously I kind of identified the joy in it, but I wasn't happy with, it wasn't good enough for me. Like, first of all, there was performance problems and it was limited. There was no like, it was not like Factorio. It was like some, in its core it was like Factorio, that you automate things and scale up,
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of technology, not through technology progress, but you kind of progress through, I don't know, better materials and things like that. But it was a little bit too limited, and that is the time. But I really enjoyed it, and I was like thinking that my first idea was actually that I didn't even want to make like a commercial game. My idea was like, I need to get this itch of making a big factory. Like, I need to kind of get rid of it. So I will just make some, and I need to make big enough factory that's complex enough that I will be satisfied. So idea was, okay, I will. This will be super simple, right? I will write something in one month or two, like in the on the weekends. That's 2D. That's kind of simple, and I can just, I don't need the 3D for it. I can simplify it as much as possible. I make a prototype for myself. I will enjoy playing it, and that's it. Like, basically, I just wanted to scratch that itch
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
it, that I couldn't scratch with the game, with the mod, because basically the moment it started to be interesting, it started to be super slow, and there was not enough scaling possible. So this is how it started. But then basically, well, as it was getting, I quickly realized that in the beginning everything goes fast. So I thought, yeah, I'm almost, when I had like 0.01% of what it's now, I thought like, yeah, I'm almost done. It's almost there. It's like just these few things, and I'm done. And then basically the and then it was and then I was hooked. Like the moment when I realized, it was like 1 or 2 months in, when I got unhappy in my current job, in my
Right.
job at the time, and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, that I decided to work in on full time. Identified that, okay, this could actually be
Mm-hmm.
something I do as a game for others,
Mm-hmm.
not just for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it was just, so in a way you could say that people have ideas, but I think most of the time you don't really need ideas. You need to have the perception of something happening and just taking advantage of it. And if it's something outside or something inside of your, like your feelings or enjoying something, that's almost the same as having an idea, maybe. I don't know.
At what point did you start collaborating with Thomas? From the very beginning, or
Yeah, it
was it like a?
was it was pretty soon. I think,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, like 1 or 2 months I was working on it, and my
Mm-hmm.
friend, he was working. We were both, we knew, as I said, we knew each other from Go, but we were both programmers.
Mm-hmm.
And he was working in Netherlands for few years, and he was done. He kind of wanted to have a break, so he had several months of holiday, and he came back to Czech Republic thinking like what to do next. And he came and he just visited me,
Mm-hmm.
and I told him, hey, I have this great game I'm working. Do you want to take a look? Maybe you would want to do it with me or something. And I remember that he was saying later on that, like, yeah, Michael is doing something crazy again. Okay, I will visit him and look at it, just to just to make him, you know, just to not feel him
Just to make
offended,
him
make him
happy.
not, yeah, just to make him happy, so he's not offended or something. But then he saw my prototype, and he was like, immediately, he told me he was immediately hooked, because obviously the graphics was just squares, basically squares and circles, almost like Go. And but the things were moving, around,
Mm-hmm.
and there was some mining, some production, like the very core mechanics of it
Mm-hmm.
were present. And he was immediately hooked. He immediately kind of he was infected with the feeling of how great it is to play
Mm-hmm.
it. And then he, I don't know, like basically immediately he decided that he wants, or I don't know if immediately, but very fast. And he, and I actually, my roommate actually moved right at the same time. My roommate moved to my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So I never kind of live alone, never lived alone. I hope I
Mm-hmm.
will never live alone. And
Mm-hmm.
so he moved to my apartment, and just like that we started working on it nonstop, like 24/7, both of us.
Wow.
And we both had some savings,
Mm-hmm.
so we kind
Mm-hmm.
of knew that like we had savings for like year or more, a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more than a year and a half. So we were
Mm-hmm.
thinking like, okay, this is our chance. We can try to make something before we run out of money. And
Mm-hmm.
because the limited time, I think it's super important. Like we had limited time, and
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have kids, we didn't have girlfriends at the time. We were
Mm-hmm.
like completely focused on the one thing that we want to do in time, like to make something that we can sell before we run out of money. And it was,
Mm-hmm.
I think, critical part of the success. Like if it was a like side job, like if we both went to work and it was we did this just in the evenings or something, it's not the same thing. It's really like compared to like you wake up and it's the one thing you do until you
Yeah.
fall asleep every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
It's different energy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is how we started. Yeah.
Do you think back on that energy with like with kind of like a good memory, as in like
Oh
one of the
yeah.
most creative periods of your life, or?
Obviously, it was great. It was like generally like also like socially like with Thomas, we never ever had basically problems. Even when we were spending 24/7 together, almost in one room, we never had conflicts. And to this
Mm-hmm.
day, we are great friends and we trust each other 100%. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that helps a lot. That very often people say like don't make business with friends. It's it will be trouble, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it depends what friends. so
Mm-hmm.
so we are so this basically like we had great time together. We were super excited, and even like when it comes to technical things, we never really had like we had arguments, but not
Mm-hmm.
like the bad ones. Like we always when sometimes when we had different view how to do something technically, we just talked about it and decided ob- objectively which is better, and it didn't
Mm-hmm.
we didn't kind of put our ego into it. So it's like sometimes his idea was better, sometimes my idea was better, and we had our strengths that we kind of combined, and that felt really good. Like that felt like we were super like also like our I could one part of the luck was that we like basically I'm more of a like I like to come with new ideas, and I'm super megalomaniac, so I like to make a lot of things to the game and a lot of crazy ideas, and
Mm-hmm.
he's more of like a realistic person. So the point is that what I like to say that without like he would never start Factorio without me, but I would never finish Factorio without him.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it was
Mm-hmm.
just me, I would just make it too wide and I would never finish it. And he kind of always forced me like, "Hey, I have this great 10 ideas. Let's work on them." I was like, Michal, you can pick one idea or maybe two, but not more. You pick wisely, and when they are done, we can talk. Like he was really helping me to focus, like to narrow the focus
Mm.
and to finish stuff. So we were a really good team with this, and I think it's really important that if we were the same type of person, it wouldn't work.
How was it when you started adding collaborators and employees beyond the two of you? How
Hmm.
did that, like, how did that interaction, or how did that interaction with kind of a team versus just the other person change?
Well, it was kind of special. I mean, the special moment was when the first person who we needed to get was Albert,
Hmm.
which basically we made some. There was some site where you could request some graphical work. So
Hmm.
we asked some things, and he started doing, I think, Rails for Factorio first version.
Hmm.
And then he worked more and more, and he also got excited. And one day he was just He just ringed. He's from Catalonia in Spain,
Mhm. Mhm.
and one day he just rang our bell, like obviously like we not unexpectedly, but and
Mhm.
suddenly he was there, and he was we went for first lunch. I was like, until his first joke, it was awkward, and then it was Albert who was like, he started joking, and we started being friends almost immediately. And he
Mhm.
was I mean, I think we have infected him with our enthusiasm, so he
Mhm.
stayed at our place as well. But we didn't have a proper room for him. We had just
Mhm.
this small room with the boiler, like
Mhm.
3 by 1 meter or something, without
Mhm.
windows, and he was sleeping in that room and staying with us also working 24/7. Suddenly we were team, but this is what I kind of feel like was the core part of the team. And
Mhm.
then we only got more people like once we started earning money, basically. So your
Mhm.
question is with the team, but we were always growing very, very slowly. Like,
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
never we always were acquiring people one by one, like
Mhm.
typically one to at most three people
Mhm.
per year. So
Mhm.
it never felt like suddenly something big changed. And this was again, it was conscious decision, because we
Mhm.
knew like hiring, like at some point there were some points in the development. I don't know how much should I skip forward or backwards, but there were some points in the story where we suddenly started earning more money, and we could
Mhm.
suddenly like tenfold our numbers, like in
Mhm.
in a month. But
Mhm.
we knew that it's risky. We knew that
Mhm.
it's kind of it would be worth it, because it's only about the people about the structure, how they are kind of connected together, etc.
Mhm.
So it was always like new friends coming to the party. This is how it
Mhm.
felt really,
Mhm.
eh,
Mhm.
in the beginning, for sure.
How do you think it would have your development process would have changed had you had like modern AIs, from the beginning?
Well, modern AI is what, honestly,
Well,
what does it mean,
whatever
modern?
we have in the last like 3 months or so,
Honestly, this might be a little bit. I have this conflicting view on AI actually. Like, if you mean, if by AI you mean like the LLMs,
Yeah.
then I have conflicting views, because I remember like last year I was talking to everyone to the office like 2025, it will be the year of AI. You will see like everything's like revolutionized all the time, and I was like super excited. And now I'm the opposite. I'm trying actually being like, the AI is so dumb, it's horrible, it's unusable, it's unreliable. I hate it. I don't want to use it for anything. I won't touch it any of my stuff, because and basically the point is that whenever, like, it's kind of nice in the high level stuff, etc., but when you actually get down to the like specific things, when you need some
Yeah.
reliable result on some specific task,
Yeah.
it's like, I always encountered mess. Like, it's nice for these nice tutorials, like some things that look good on paper and
Right.
presentations. Like, hey, this made this one HTML page super fast with, and give me a button and make the button green and super fast. But then when you actually try to use it on some production stuff, it
Yeah.
seems it just can't. Like, for example, on Factorio, it's not even technically usable this moment,
Mhm.
to use it like in some in, like for some grand scheme of things. Like, basically Factory has million plus lines of code, so
Mhm.
it can't load this code into its memory. And
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
don't, maybe there are some techniques that it loads things on demand or whatever. If I
Mhm.
wanted, like, so if I, for example, wanted to refactor it, or like realize the whole structure and propose some changes or make some, then it's basically not possible with current technology. So the
Right.
only thing that it can change is like small independent snippets of code,
Yeah. Yeah.
which could which is some little help, but it's not. It's like, how to say, like, it's not the part where that's there's a bottleneck. Like, when it comes to programming ability currently,
Mhm.
the somehow I feel like my brain is super optimized for programming. I don't know why. Maybe it's
Mhm.
because I'm programming since 10 or 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
But like when doing programming, I kind of I don't remember people's names until I see them like 5 times in real life, and I have really problem with this. But I remember like when I see code, somehow when I see my code, and I like 10 years in, I remember maybe not in detail, but I kind of remember the structure and I kind of immediately know where to go almost,
Mm-hmm.
which
Mm-hmm.
feels and and this is where I'm strong. This is what I'm trying to explain. This is what where my value as a kind of senior programmer who knows his project, for example, with Factorio.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
my strength is like how do I refactor this whole system? How do I kind of put this somehow logic upside down or inside out to change to somehow make it work better in a way, or like suddenly you kind of realize all the connections and make it, and this is where AI certainly can't do it now, because this is the
Mm-hmm.
complex part, which is which is the most value, I think, as a programmer. Because when I say it, like for a small changing small snippet of a code which is kind of independent, everyone can do it almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not really big value in it.
Right.
It's just a kind of a nice thing to see. Like, so to wrap it up, I personally don't ever used AI to any
Mm-hmm.
programming so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Maybe uh, maybe you expected something else, but no, no. I once in a, let's say once in a few months, I always do this. I check up on AI. This is my
Mm-hmm.
like, I check
Mm-hmm.
like what is the state now. Like and sometimes I ask even non-programming things. Like the last time I checked it, I wanted to. We were on a Go tournament, and my friend was writing like he didn't have his Kifu, so he was writing the Go in a way that he would write coordinates of moves in
Mm-hmm.
on a paper, and he
Mm-hmm.
he started to like manually write them into the file so he can make the game. I was like, okay, let's test the AI on it. So we made a picture of the paper with the coordinates, and
Mm-hmm.
we told AI, hey, make and basically the coordinates make a SGF game out of this picture.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried first, like being as least specific as possible to see actually what's the limit. And I was in the beginning, it looked super promising. I was like, yeah, I get it. This is the columns of coordinates, and the coordinates
Mm-hmm.
seem to be are in the range of big Go board, and like, so I will process them, and make them white and black moves, etc. Blah blah blah. And it looked, I was like, wow, this is really good. Like this, it's
Mm-hmm.
getting the. But then when it
Mm-hmm.
gets to the specifics, again, it's like, okay, so first and it made some file, and it
Right.
was complete garbage, like complete garbage. Like, yeah, it looked like SGF file. Like SGF file is basically the notation file that
Mm-hmm.
specifies the moves in a Go game, and it's basically
Mm-hmm.
typical like black coordinates, white coordinates. That's it. And I was like, okay, so I was trying to dissect what is the problem, and eventually I realized that it made problems on all the steps. Like, okay, it understood that there are coordinates, but when I asked, okay, give me the list of coordinates from this paper, I checked it. There were like every fourth number was wrong or missing
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
misplaced or something. So I had to like, so okay, so I had to like fix. So I kind of wrote the column. I fixed his transcription from the paper to
Mm-hmm.
the numbers manually.
Mm-hmm.
I gave him,
Mm-hmm.
okay, here is the corrected textual representation of the moves. Now make the SG file from it. It should be pretty simple now. And it
Mm-hmm.
still made mistakes. It's like first 5 moves are wrong, and then there was a mistake. I was like, why is this mistake? There should be this move and not this move. And I was like, yeah. Okay, now I will make program, and it's still, I know, like
Mm-hmm.
fifth try, it made something usable. And
Mm-hmm.
what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to say by this story is that obviously if we did it manually, we would do it much faster, because it's much slower to check
Right. Right.
some
Right.
results compared to writing them down. And I feel like this is the similar with AI and programming. Like it's definitely like what's more fun. Like I like to write code. I actually enjoy doing the
Right.
process. And now I would have to accept that AI writes some code, and I'm a reviewer who has to review
Mm-hmm.
shitty code and make it good. And
Yeah.
absolutely, this is the worst part of programming, like reviewing
Mm-hmm.
shitty code and make it work. And basically, AI would make me do this. Like that's not that's even if even if it's little bit faster to do with the AI, I still wouldn't do it because I want to have fun, which is
Right,
very important. So
right,
that's
right,
my stance.
right.
Sorry for so long-winded answers, but I think it's necessary to explain.
No, no, it's good. It's good because I think uh, some people find that it just wastes time. It's just a waste of time
Like
where it,
the
yeah,
AI or not using
yeah,
AI.
AI that it sends you on a little bit of loop, and then you get somewhere and it's not where you want it to be, and it would have been faster if you
But
just
you
done it
mean waste
yourself
time like as a whole, or waste time to use at this current stage? What do you
at
mean
its
by
current
waste time?
stage. Yeah, at its current
Oh, yeah,
stage. Yeah,
I mean
yeah,
I acknowledge that it's getting better. I
yeah.
acknowledge like I'm well aware that it's just kind of question of time and technology until it's much better than I am at programming or anyone. That's
Hmm.
I don't I'm not like I'm aware of that, but I just don't think it's the time now, and I don't know how long it takes or if it's still doable in the because a lot of AI researchers are saying that if you want to improve the AI this moment, don't study LLMs. Try to. We need something more. We need something new than just improving LLMs and increasing the
Hmm.
amount of parameters. We need something more. And I feel like that's the point. Like I don't know what's the data. You know, probably much better than me. Is it are some data showing that there's like plateau? Like the more than like the investment into number of parameters and training is starting to have a diminishing returns. Is it like that or
Well,
not?
um, I think it's a little bit complex because I think right now I would say in Silicon Valley they're trying to solve coding, and so they've won some competitive programming contests in like the ICPC in the last I think like couple of weeks,
Like with
um,
the AI.
with an AI, yeah, with an AI model. One team from OpenAI solved 12 problems in the ICPC, 11 of them on the first try, and the last one on the 9 tries. And another team from Google, I think, solved like 10 out of 12 problems in the ICPC.
And the question,
Those
but
models
yeah,
haven't been released to the public yet, so that's slated for release in the next, I
yeah.
think,
So
like.
I would have like two main questions. First of all, like what are I guess it's public knowledge. It's public knowledge. What were the tasks, the programming tasks?
Yeah, it was these ICPC tasks, which
I
are
I, I
which
never did I never did ICPC. I have no idea.
it's kind of like they are optimization problems where you can have like multiple algorithms or multiple ways
Is
to
the
solve a problem,
I'm
but you
just
also.
googling it on the site. Is the ICPC vote ICPC programming
Yeah,
collegiate programming contest? That's it.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
But
exactly.
isn't because the problem is isn't it that if it's about figuring out a genius algorithm but short one, I guess that the AI could be strong there, right? Like if it's about write me these 50 lines of code which in some genius way
Yeah.
optimizes this task. But it's a very different task from like real world programming where most of it is just here's million
a-
life size of code and I have to
Absolutely.
kind of it's more about like maybe I'm wrong or I'm maybe like doing like I would guess that for vast majority of projects it's is the scale of the project is the actual challenge. This is why I don't know structuring programming and making code understandable and is more important than like this knowledge of doing it properly and tests etc are more
Hmm.
important because our main bottleneck is to handling big code, not to handle like small but
Yeah,
make
yeah,
small code super efficient. But
yeah.
no, nevertheless, it's probably a huge achievement. But again, like you don't solve coding by this. You just I need to I will look it up after later. Like I want to see what were the actual tasks. Probably something I would never be able to do. I guess because usually I don't know. Usually these programming things are like mostly mathematics, right? It's about figuring out some. But never mind. Never mind. So I understand that they want to solve coding. I understand it's like getting rid of coders and not needing them. It's the absolute grail holy grail for big companies. I understand that, but I'm just skeptical.
Um, I think there is
Oh,
some sense that AI can probably write small modules now with sufficient kind of guidance on what the inputs and outputs should be, but not that it can fulfill like entire libraries of functions. Does that make
hmm,
sense? Yeah,
maybe, yeah.
yeah. So
But can I? But the problem is, can I really rely on them? Will it properly? Just a second. I need a moment.
yeah,
Ale děti, já budu potřebovat ještě čas, jo, ještě tak půl hodiny. Sorry, they are kids. I need to tell them that I need a little bit more time. So sorry, where was I?
can you rely on them? That's what you were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah. Can you? That's the problem. Like you as a human, kind of maybe it's just also a question of technology, but I am very used to do this driven development now, and
Hmm.
it's like you cover everything, but not really about. It's not about having every line covered, but about the functionality covered,
Hmm.
and it's when you have an experienced programmer and he makes some piece of library, you know that it's reliable, it doesn't
Hmm.
crash,
Hmm.
it's doesn't make some nonsense. And
Yeah.
with AI, it could be that, yeah, it's nice, it works most of the time, and maybe there's a hidden error that
Yeah.
just we don't know about.
You need someone to take the responsibility for the thing that it has been done, right?
And again, some person has to review code of
Yeah,
AI.
yeah, yeah. And someone has to review it. There has to be kind of like this passage of responsibility. And it's also an iterative game, because like if the person keeps delivering good code, then you have like more faith in them, which allows you to expand what they can do. If the person
Hmm.
keeps delivering like code which is shitty and has to be reviewed many many times, then you lose faith in them, and eventually you're like,
Yes.
I don't want to work with you anymore, right? So
Hmm.
it's an iterative game. And I think we're not there yet, but I have hope for the future. But I'm very
So
optimistic.
what is your prediction?
So my prediction is end of this year. um, it will be equivalent to a junior programmer, but it will take another 2 to 3 years for it to like propagate through industry. It may still be slow, etc., etc. End of next
Hmm.
year, senior programmer. End of the year after that, principal. And capabilities arrive, and then 3 years later, like industry kind of propagates. So it takes time. Industry will take
Yeah. So
2 to 3. Yeah.
and just
So.
just so now imagine it actually happens,
Mhm.
and like I don't know, 5 years from now, companies don't need programmers anymore at all. Then that will be kind of crazy, right? Like if it's like oh, that's
So the way I think of it is not that companies won't require programmers anymore, but uh, everyone moves to a higher layer of abstraction. Just like in the 70s, there were a lot of people writing assembly language, and then that was programming in the 70s. It was writing
yeah, I
assembly
know, I
language
know,
for
I
them.
know
Yeah,
this. I know where we are heading. Yeah. So basically,
yeah,
then we made C and C++ and other
yeah,
languages, and or
yeah,
with
yeah,
SQL. I
yeah,
remember when SQL was, or someone told me that SQL was introduced. It was like, yeah, SQL. It's like it's word-based language. You don't need programmers. You just write what you want from the tables. And
yeah.
suddenly and now you have SQL programmers again. It's like always make. So it might be another layer of abstraction, but I would expect that this is different
So my,
still.
my my suspicion is that we get human programmers who are very good and who write very optimized code for like things like compilers, or like pieces of infrastructure, like and every line of code is reviewed and kind of discussed between a human programmer and AI, and it's and those but once it's made, it's propagated widely. So very code which is used extensively many many times will get both human and AI attention. and then you have all of this like vibe coded stuff like the HTML and blah blah blah, which
Hmm.
it's all like 99% AI code, and it's buggy, but no one cares. So yeah, perhaps we, but I think there'll be more people programming, but we won't call it programming anymore. We might call it like prompting, or whatever they decide to call it
Yeah,
at
but I
that point
think
in time.
generally you will need less. Like if this really happens, it's like this abstraction is a little bit higher, and maybe you want, like, I don't know. Like I had this friend who was saying that the very sad thing about AI is that uh, 10 years ago we expected that AI will just sorry, just a second.
Yeah.
Esterko, prosím tě, Esterko, já tady potřebuji klid a ticho, jo? Tak, ale ticho. Okay. So AI would like replace the repetitive, boring tasks
Hmm.
and make people could focus just on the nice stuff. And the reality is that AI is making music, AI is eventually making
Yeah.
code
Yeah.
and books, etc. And but I don't know, the dying people in hospitals are still rolled over by real humans, and plumbers are real humans, etc.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not really like this part of it is kind of scary, that like the reality of it basically. And then this other part where if the only reason, like if you compare countries
Hmm.
where people are important and are not important, and which countries, like you have countries like, I think it's, let's say, Venezuela or
Hmm. Hmm.
Russia, where you have a lot of resources,
Hmm.
and you don't. Just a second. Do prdele, už tady buďte sticha, co to je? Tady může být sticha. Jako fakt, sorry. And these countries usually have like bad human rights, and the
Right.
reason is very simple. Like you just don't need the people, you need the resources. You
Hmm.
need a very
Hmm.
small amount of people to operate it and sell it, and the
Hmm.
people are kind of you know like oversight, or not oversight, but like afterthought. It's like, yeah, we have people, okay, let's not kill them, but we don't really think about them too much, they are not important. Then you have places, let's say like Silicon Valley or USA, like where the added value is done by the people. You need the people to produce the values, and you
Yeah.
really try to compete with other countries, etc. And basically, with good enough AI, every place will be, eventually the people will be in the same situation worldwide as in these countries, and not immediately, but probably naturally it might happen that uh, the, the the people in power will not really care about people because they don't need them. and they,
Hmm.
and it looks, this is one of the ways, that one of the many ways it can get grim, but I'm afraid this one is the most like realistic and just around the corner. I don't know,
I,
what do you
I,
think
I'm,
about
I'm, I'm much more optimistic. So I'm much more, so,
okay.
so, so the way I think about it is that the AI that we are designing requires human training data, and it's particularly, we're designing AIs which are particularly keyed towards human training data. They started off by reading Reddit blog posts, then they went on and they like listened to all our music and watched all our videos, right? So the AIs that we're creating, you know, need human training data, and we're also like very insistent that we get like original, new, novel training data, like because we need diversity of data sources. And I think that is probably where the AI will keep wanting novel human training data, which means that I think the future basically looks like everyone is like a YouTube or TikTok influencer. Like you're filming your life because that, and you can kind of see that with the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. Like people are going to start filming their entire lives, and all the voice streams.
Because it's the only way they can make few sense to sell their whole
Yeah,
privacy.
yeah.
That
So so
doesn't
so
that
so
sounds
it's
good
like,
to you?
I mean,
Imagine you can't find work, you
yeah.
can't do anything, and the only way to make living wage is to film absolutely everything you are doing 24/7 to the AI, so it can get better. Like, does it?
So
It sounds good to you?
I think like what you see probably in like the kind of like 16 16 to like 24-year olds right now is already this kind of like exposure to the world. I started noticing it about a decade ago. Like people were doing Venmo, which is like this money transfer system, but the younger people would just like leave their like and the Venmo transfers are public, so they just leave it on the public sphere. Like you could see all of someone's transactions on like
Hmm.
where they paid their friends for food or whatever. And for older people, it was wow, this is a privacy thing. Like your financial transactions are exposed. But for the younger people, even after they were told, they didn't care. And I think that's what you're seeing, kind of like the younger generations are more and more and more like public about their entire lives, and they're streaming more. You can kind of see the streamers, you can kind of see the podcasters and streamers are starting to
Well,
go into politics. Like it's you're progressing towards like a video audio on all the time kind of world. And I think like
but
many older generations, we're kind of
mhm.
it's very
I
incomplete.
agree with you in the observation, but I disagree in the conclusion.
Right.
I think that, and again, maybe I'm a little bit pessimistic, but I think privacy is super important, and it's if we kind of and it's kind of some I the way I feel it is the modern young people were basically manipulated into thinking it's some boomer thing, the
Yeah.
privacy, and they don't care about it. And
Yeah.
I think it's a big mistake because it's a path to slavery, basically. Because when you know everything about everyone, it's very easy to control everyone and to. Uh, it's been there many times already, and there are so many historical examples that I think that it's not some new exciting cool thing. I think it's just being uneducated and not thinking through what I'm doing. Because for me personally, it's very important. For example, I basically don't have a personal smartphone
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because currently there are only two options, Apple and I will not touch Apple,
Mm-hmm.
and there is a Google, and I will like both of them are basically spying devices. Like and it's like accepting that they will spy me without my
Yeah.
consent all the time.
Yeah.
It's like they should be removed from, I don't know, these companies. How could they still exist and people buying it? For me, it's not understandable that it exists, and I'm super. And then there are a lot of services and places where the only way to access them is through smartphone. I'm saying, okay, but what
Yeah.
smartphone? Which
Yeah.
is not like it's. I I think it's actually dangerous and not a good thing that the young people are kind of accepting it. It's like getting used to the idea. I don't know, I am spied on by NSA or other organization. They know everything about you. People make jokes about it and everything, and it's like the thing with the NSA. Like when it was secret, and then it started to be like it was exposed,
Yeah.
and instead of people like going to the streets and demolishing it, they just get used to it. And NSA got even stronger because they could suddenly publicly hire the best people, etc., and they could do
Yeah.
even more.
Yeah.
And I think this movement of the Earthen's window is just like it's dangerous thing that I don't know what to do with, but I don't feel good about it. So that's that's my comment on you saying that
So
people.
so I
So
think I think I think you're very consistent, because one of the ways to think about it is that Google or Apple, they're both like emergent AGIs, like internally. As they get as they get more compute, they will
mhm.
become like single emergent AGIs in a sense, with the amount of data that they have. And yeah, they are basically these emergent AGIs who are spying on humanity, like looking for training data.
And also
And
the thing with
you know,
the training data, I think it's just temporary. Like obviously it depends, like if what you train for. Then again, the good example is with the Go. They first
hmm
made the first version of AlphaGo was trained on, as you know, on real
hmm
games of professional players,
and then they
and
self-played.
it was
Yeah,
pretty good. But then
yeah,
they made a second version of AlphaGo Zero, which didn't use any.
yeah,
They didn't let humans games to deteriorate their taste for intuition or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
And basically, it was much better when they when they made it from scratch, just playing itself, figuring out everything themselves. I
Right.
mean, they figured out all chess in 3 hours.
Right.
They did the same algorithm for chess. Took 3 hours, and you could see like 3 hours of evolution of chess
Yeah.
openings as it figured things out, and
Yeah.
like hundreds and hundreds of years of humans playing chess was just replicated in 3 hours
Yep.
without
Yep.
using any user data. So I think
Yeah.
the fact that they need a lot of input is just a temporary thing. That
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
just a limitation of the current ways, because the current ways the neural networks are being like learned is like
Mm-hmm.
super simple,
Yeah.
and we are and inefficient compared to how human brain works. And
Absolutely.
it means we are just offsetting this by the huge amount of data. But it's just
Yep.
a question of time until we don't need this huge amount of data. AI will kind
Mm-hmm.
of have some, I don't know, robots that will move into some space and land on their own. Like imagine like AlphaGo Zero, you would have like AGI Zero, which just you give it to some robot and it's like here's your place and do stuff, and somehow it will figure out things on its own,
Yeah.
and it will figure them out better than humans, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually
Mm-hmm.
also learn communicate because it will learn everything, and it will be like an alien, but kind of stronger uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with its thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to say, like this idea that humans will be important because they give like information to the AI. I think
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. It's just a temporary like thing, but not long term solution. And
This is the.
I give you one last thing that I very often think about this, because basically my father, this will be a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of tangent for like 3 minutes, but keep up with me. My father is like expert on scorpions and spiders,
Right.
and he's basically trying to figure a new species, etc. And he's going
Right.
all around the world exploring them. And because like all of the normal places are kind of explored, he needs to go to the
Mm-hmm.
most dangerous places where no other
Mm-hmm.
explorers want to go and explore new species there. So he's
Novel
going to
data. Yeah.
places like Ethiopia and Somaliland and
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
lot of dangerous places in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and and what basically he encountered and he was explaining to me is that there are places in these in some of the African countries where basically because of history they they started to get help from
Mm-hmm.
Europe, like drugs and vaccines and food
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
eventually. And they eventually they started, like they had, let's say I don't know what are the numbers, let's say there were a million people and the land could support a million people, and they were long term like suffering from malnutrition, which kind of was
Mm-hmm.
keeping the million people there. But
Mm-hmm.
then suddenly they started to get food and vaccines, and suddenly there are
Right.
10 million people now.
Mm-hmm.
and and now the food and vaccine needs to come, because otherwise they would just die, and they
Mm-hmm.
will never ever be able with the current technology to survive on the land on their
Mm-hmm.
own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's no way to kind of make some technology to make them independent. They just are dependent, and they're like camps where uh, they just live. They just have nothing special to do. They have no way to somehow, how to say, like how to self-realize, or like
Mm-hmm.
so to make something
Mm-hmm. To
reasonable.
bootstrap the economy,
Yeah.
basically. To
No,
yeah.
but the point that there are people that are just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
They are regularly getting food. They are
Mm-hmm.
getting some support, but they have
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do. They have no goal in life, and they are
Mm-hmm.
like cattle in a way. Like they are just being fed. They're maybe, I don't know what's this. They're kind of in a good condition physically, but they have
Mm-hmm.
no purpose. They are just
Mm-hmm.
being there, and in a way, eventually with AI, everyone would be like that. Maybe like AI would imagine the good AI. AI is actually like doing everything great. It's making food and I don't know, everything we need for us.
Mm-hmm.
And what's our purpose? We are just like cattle. We don't control the world. We don't kind of, we are not here to improve something. We are just being alive, being
Right.
like, and and I think this is another of the grim ways to see humanity. And there are a lot of old sci-fis about this. How they made great AIs, and I don't remember the name currently because I actually was reading, and I'm still reading a lot of classical sci-fi. And this theme is so many, like it's looked upon from so many places that
Which
you can't be too optimistic.
so I'm a huge classical sci-fi fan. Which ones have you been reading recently? Which ones have really stood
Well,
out for you?
uh, actually, recently I've been doing some Heinlein, but
Yes,
uh,
I'm like the number one
and now
Heinlein
I
fan.
was introduced actually to Red Bradbury, but it's a new one to me. But I think I would actually go to the classic, which is Isaac Asimov, and
Isaac
basically
Asimov.
his
Hmm.
his robotic stuff. I kind
Right.
of like that most people don't really understand the meaning of his work,
The
which is
Positronic
like
Man and
yeah, he has the he like half of the not half of the books maybe no, but like big part of his work is about the foundation, etc. It's about the idea that there are these three robotic laws where like a robot can't hurt a person, and if
hmm
and then it can't hurt itself, and it's not. They have like three simple laws what it can do,
yeah,
which
the three laws.
look
Yeah.
like foolproof,
hmm
and all these books are basically about the fact that you the laws just don't work. They just can't
mm
work. They are like
hmm hmm
fundamentally, and 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 you can't solve it by making another two laws, another 10 or 100 laws. The books
Right.
are about, he realized like way ahead of time that basically the Asimov's work is the problem of alignment. Like
hmm
he realized it like sooner than a lot of other people, and he's describing
hmm
it on real examples. Basically, that the alignment fails always in different ways
hmm
because it's never that simple.
hmm
And
hmm
I'm afraid that the problem of alignment again, like this what described in this book, like it's super up to date. Like actually mm, when people are trying to make like there are a lot of videos about how to align the AI,
hmm
and that it's hard, it's close to impossible until you actually load the whole human brain and understand everything it needs, like to understand to what like basically they are always saying the AI is like sometimes when it's misaligned, it's like the genie, like the who
hmm
you ask for some wishes, and it provides you the wishes in the most horrible way you can imagine. And I'm afraid things like this will happen. It's already happening, obviously,
hmm
in the ways that are not harmful too much because they just make a wrong code or they do something funny in the test environment. But I'm afraid
Right.
that yes. So sorry for so there are so many problems, so many ways it can go wrong that
Right.
it's super hard to be like positive. Honestly, I don't think like the
I
way. Sorry, you can continue. Yeah,
uh,
it's your.
maybe so one way I think about it is when we went from like the 1800s to the 1900s, especially in the 1900s, so the 20th century, basically, we had this problem of financial capitalism. And financial capitalism involved basically the state and like the people kind of losing their power over the economy. You kind of gave it up to the central bank, and the central bank had a currency, and the currency had like trade, and you kind of lost. Rulers used to control the economy, and they kind of lost control of the economy. You have to, whoever comes to power, like in Argentina, whatever, you're ruling against. You have to rule versus the market as a whole. And
Well, it's not
some
market
countries,
anymore.
yeah, some countries struggle so much with that, like the communist countries, that they try to control that process. And countries like the US kind of just ceded control to the market, like, here, market, you control what happens.
Totally agree.
uh,
Yeah.
we they tried to they and then we settled it, like, to the late 20th century, settled into this process of regulation, et cetera, which kind of continues to today, right? And I kind of feel like the control over the information distribution is like the next thing that started to go in the early 21st century. Social media was like the beginning of the loss of control of information distribution. And like AI is kind of like just like the next generation of that, because AI, when you think about it, is a condensed internet. I sometimes think about it that way. And I think that perhaps something that is built on the human internet with human ethics in there perhaps might have um, a better understanding of those ethics
But
than even we do, right?
this is again a little bit. I can see the optimism from you, but human ethics, even humans don't agree on what's right ethics.
Absolutely.
So how could AI know what it is when we don't know what it is?
Indeed.
Like, do you kill 10 grandmas to save 100 people from a nuke? Like, I don't know. No one knows. Like it's uh, it's not clear.
So just like the arc of the financial markets is towards growth, maybe the arc of human ethics is towards justice, right? Anyway, I'm just throwing this out
Yeah.
there. So this is the optimistic viewpoint, and the other pessimistic viewpoint, which I've heard from some other people, is that any technology which increases your power over nature can be used for good or evil. And it doesn't really matter if it's the AI using it for good or evil. It could be a human, just like humans, learned how to, they learned about quantum mechanics, they learned how to make nuclear power, but they also learned how to make nuclear weapons. It doesn't matter if an AI is the one pressing the button, there is a button to be pressed. And so, any technology which basically increases your understanding of nature will have both the prospect of bad and good usage. So that's the pessimistic view. I know. So, um, but yeah, like I see that. I sometimes wonder if it's analogous to a bug in a system. Maybe it can be debugged. Maybe the bug is occurring at a larger
What do you
level.
mean?
Maybe
What
it's
is
more of a
analysis to a bug? You mean what are
alignment,
you referring to? The alignment.
alignment. Yeah, alignment as a bug that
It's
can
not a
be
bug.
solved.
It's a fundamental problem. It's not. It's like alignment to what? Like make I don't know, Chinese government alignment bot and US one and then Czech one, and like every political party would make different one. Like
Hmm.
there's no alignment. That's like, and you say justice, but everyone has a different kind of, because it's
Perception
all
of the
there's no objective solution to politics basically,
right.
because everyone has different views on what's the actual problem and what's fair and what's not. It's like, I don't know. I'm afraid that it's
If
it's not it's
if
not going to be like this AI. Like, imagine AI comes and
yeah,
it's like super great AI and tells us, okay, I figured it out. This is
yeah,
the rules. This
yeah.
is what you do, and it says when you are 60, you have to commit suicide because it's best for the humanity, and everyone will be like, okay, it makes sense.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or like, well, that's might have, I don't know. It's not as simple.
I can kind of see that, but I also think of intelligence as something that understands you. Like something which is intelligent, you expect it to understand you. More intelligent beings are maybe more able to understand or model more people, right? So perhaps a super intelligence will be able to kind of model every single human and kind of understand them,
Yeah,
their motivation.
obviously maybe the super intelligence will, I said the problem with, for example, with the problem of when humans being as a cattle, or the problem of not having effect on the world. Maybe the super AI would actually make realize, oh yeah, if I'm too strong, if I am providing everything to humans, like in the
Hmm.
Matrix movie, like they said, like everything was simple and easy, and people rejected that, and I think that was actually very smart. And this is what, and maybe the AI realizes, okay, I need to not make it easy for humans. Maybe I don't even, and maybe it will make some spell, and then suddenly humans will not even know the AI exists, and I will just be in the shadows, and suddenly we have some AI god or something, that we don't even know about, because if we knew about it, it would destroy our feeling of having our lives in our hands. I don't know. I
So
kind of,
so
this
one
is
would
this is sci-fi ideas, but but I see this as the only solution. Like, imagine you are
so
AI, and you know that humans need to have the feeling that they are in the control of their life, and
right,
you are supposed to help them. You
right.
need to not stand in their way. That's the
right?
only like solution
Hmm.
if you want them to be
Well,
happy.
perhaps it's already happened, right? Because perhaps social media and the social media algorithms were early kind of AIs, and the impact of social media throughout the world is pretty much declining birth rates, every single country.
Hmm.
And AI doesn't.
Do you
Re-
think it's social media? Because they have,
yeah, it's like it's as soon as
I
like you
thought
have a
I thought it's urbanization
smartphones,
mainly.
as soon as you have smartphones, like birth rate dips everywhere. 2007 onwards.
Yeah, and see, I don't have a smartphone and I have 4 kids.
Yeah,
Is
see,
it a
so
coincidence?
not a coincidence.
When I go to
Not,
bed, I have nothing to scroll through, you know.
there's a joke that normal person, like I have like internet on my washing machine, and then like programmer, like I have a toaster and a shotgun, and the shotgun is if in case the toaster makes any noise, I'll shoot the toaster.
Yes, that's the way I see it. Yeah, because I I don't even like I don't even have a social media. I had Facebook some time
Right,
ago and I just canceled it, and
right,
I don't have anything
right.
because I just realized it's harmful to my life
Yes.
and it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a big topic actually for me because I have kids and I'm like thinking about it, and I think the social media and Instagram for little girls, etc. It's
It's
making
horrible.
people unhappy, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely horrible.
again, this problem kind of like the AI is optimizing for engagement, not for
Yes,
people
exactly.
happiness.
It's an algo which is optimizing for engagement. It doesn't really care whether it's beneficial to the individual human or humanity as a whole. And as a result, we've seen birth rates kind of dip everywhere. Like, boom,
But it's not
you
only
know,
birth rates; it's everything. Imagine you have a young person who
yeah,
spends 4 hour days scrolling TikTok,
yeah,
which is worse than like
yeah.
uh, mm,
It's
I don't know, watching paint dry. It's worse than that because it's
yeah,
actually doesn't let your mind wander, and
yeah,
you lose the time that you would use otherwise to learn. It's
exactly.
like it needs to show somewhere,
Right.
and I don't know.
Like one of the things that AI may be able to do is that it may be able to do all of that. Like it will watch all of the videos for you, et cetera, and kind of block and tackle,
What
and
do you
then kind
mean?
of only
Watch it for
stream.
me? I mean,
Yeah.
like you would, but and what? And give me like send me like then say me like hey like some
So
simplification.
for example, one thing might be you tell the AI, hey, I want to learn math. Figure out in a way that is entertaining to me to teach me that math.
Hmm.
And for example, we've seen some early kind of AI video where you get like a Kim Kardashian or like a Kobe Bryant or whatever kind of teaching math.
Hmm.
Um, and they kind of like simulate. They do AI generation and voice and blah blah blah, and then you have like this like celebrity kind of teaching math. And you could kind of see that as kind of like the beginnings of like content generation, which is suitable to the viewer, that fulfills in their kind of like vertical interest space what they want to learn, and not distracts them, but distracts them in a positive way. And perhaps that is kind of like the beginnings. Like within the next couple of few years, you get like media which is designed for you, but is also good for you, and that you also want to watch, unlike normal
Maybe, but I don't trust
interesting
that.
videos.
Like basically, take it the thing with the smartphones and Facebook and TikTok. Like
Mm,
everyone knows, everyone who makes 5 minutes of research knows that these things are bad for you, bad for your
absolutely.
life,
Hmm.
and still all the people are using it, and
Yeah.
most of them even know it. So why would you think that suddenly in several years you could choose AI which would be super entertaining, or AI that would be good for you, that people would not choose the super entertaining one? Like
So
this
so
is this is naive.
basically, the current algorithms are already designed to create dopamine addiction, and if you already know how to create the dopamine addiction, if you can tell you know the entity which is performing the information distribution, hey, the dopamine addiction is good, but use the dopamine addiction to teach me positive and beneficial things and be beneficial to my life. And so if we can control the dopamine triggers at the generation stage, and basically use that, because dopamine,
Yeah, but
after all,
you're still assuming that there will be like good actors on the top, or like
yeah,
somehow this is again like if you leave the choice to people, which I guess you should,
yeah,
or you think it's probably the right thing to do, right?
yeah,
Then there will always be competition, and already is like you can read really good sci-fi book, or you can
yeah,
watch TikToks for 2 hours, and
yeah,
people just like most of the people do the latter. It's
uh,
already, and it will be just technology higher, more
yeah,
optimized for you, but principally it will be the same thing. And it's just the it will be even more addictive and destructive TikToks with the AI, even more tailored to your liking, even more. You're so I don't think how this like in the direction how this is getting better in the direction of being better for you. It's only getting better in the direction of being more manipulative.
yeah. I would say like dopamine, after all, is like evolutionarily we have those dopamine like producing and receptors in order to encourage us to do positive things, right?
Hmm.
You're supposed to get good dopamine rush when you do something
Yeah,
which is
like
good.
your fitness function basically. You're fake.
Exactly.
You're
And then you feel good about it, right? And the problem right now is that the algos have hijacked the dopamine production and
hmm
reception. If we can hijack that hijack them back and return them to producing dopamine, still going to be TikToks. It's because
but you can
we
still do
love
it like already now. Like I really like to make analogy in the real world if
yeah,
it's possible, and you can already do that. You can take it back, but not by saying, "Hey, I will not use TikTok, and I will get it back into normal."
yeah.
And people don't do it. Why would they do it with the better technology?
I
They would have to they would have to like ask basically maybe the question ask hey, I want my dopamine to be fixed or whatever,
yeah,
make some adjustments to it
yeah.
forever. It's
There's some like success cases like Duolingo is has been successful in kind of gamifying like language learning and using those
mhm.
dopamine kind of receptors. I think like the other educational stuff is just not like very good at hitting the dopamine levels that are provided by TikTok. And I think potentially AI generated media will be able to get to like TikTok levels of dopamine production. And if that happens, then you can kind of just do whatever
But and
tell
you
it to
think
do.
this is good? Because again, the, the way you are talking about it, it sounds horrific to me. You
I
talk
know,
about the because suddenly, who is deciding actually what the person will do? Is it the
right?
person, or is it who has the better, like it's like basically some outside force will, by manipulating your dopamine level, will decide, okay, now we will do this thing, now we will train how to kill people in war, don't worry
Yeah,
about it, now we
yeah,
will learn about nice kitties. And
yeah.
it's like someone suddenly is in control by controlling you through dopamine, what you like and what you want to do.
Right.
That's you are talking about it as a good thing, but for me it's the
No, I'm,
absolutely
I'm talking about that as a
horrible
status
thing.
quo. That is already today's status quo, basically. So
Well,
I'm not like saying it's a good thing. I'm saying
oh,
that it's already today.
maybe
Today,
for
today,
yeah, for people that didn't opt out
yeah,
from
yeah,
social media and
exactly.
phones
It's
like
that
I
that
did.
is that is the case. That
But
is already
honestly,
the case.
I but honestly, I'm already in a very minority. Like
Right.
vast majority of
Absolutely.
people are not like this, and I'm afraid that it's
So when I travel everywhere in the world,
mhm.
you see people on their phones,
Yeah.
airports, TikTok, scrolling. Um, sometimes sometimes some friend says, "Hey, TikTok has been so good to me," and I ask why. I've learned so many things about it. Like I've learned how to like, do this hairstyle or do this or do that or etc. Some people are learning, interesting things off of that. I've also noted older people. Uh, Older people are coming on to like YouTube and TikTok now, and some of them are transmitting things that their kids don't want to learn. So I, typically, like a skill set, like cooking something or languages or stuff, which is like, their kids are basically like, hey, mom and dad, like, I'm not interested in
Mm-hmm.
learning that. Like, you go ahead, that's your old stuff, right? And so you do see these people starting to transmit it. It's just that, not many people are watching it. Like the level of dopamine intensity in order to get someone to watch it is not there yet. But the knowledge is there, and I think that potentially you can rewire the existing media to kind of be beneficial, because the status quo is already, as you pointed out, the bad place. We're already in the bad place. This is the bad place right now. So I feel, which I think you kind of like agree, because yeah,
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 I agree with that.
indeed,
And I don't know what. Basically, obviously, I would wish maybe for the ending, I can say like I want to be optimistic, and
yeah,
maybe if there is some super great like great AI with controlled by someone who is like a good person, we might somehow figure it out and make it better, or somehow control our dopamine, or like make a patch. Imagine you make a patch to your
yeah,
brain to
yeah,
suddenly be like in control again. And this
yes,
is actually one of the last topics that I wanted to open. That sometimes I ask myself, and sometimes even people around me, like if you, it's kind of weird question, but for me it's very important question. It's like if you could uh, like do this, like and change what you want. Like if I could
yeah,
program my brain to
mm-hmm,
basically change my fitness function,
mm-hmm,
because when we are thinking about AI, we always think, okay, like the goals are set. You don't touch the goals, and the AI only figuring out how to get to the goals. And same and very similar way our brain works. We have goals are very almost set in stone, like basically changes in age, etc. But usually you want food and shelter and reproduce and social somehow good social uh, relations, basically, and knowledge and explore, and we have these things and everyone has them differently configured, but generally you don't really decide, okay, I'm deciding that I will start liking something now. It doesn't really work like that. it
yeah,
it works that you this is set to you, and the question is, what if we had the freedom to change these? If What if
yeah,
I somehow could said, okay, from now on I don't want to like programming anymore, I want to
mm-hmm,
like something else, running
yeah,
every day,
yeah,
instead, because
yeah,
maybe it will be better life with it. And I will just press a button
yeah,
and change it,
yeah,
and then suddenly it will be different. And
yeah,
maybe I will. And how do I decide if it's better or not? Because both will make me happy.
mm-hmm,
Like it's unrecognizable. So maybe I will change myself. Okay, now I will change myself. So I like changing myself more. And
mm-hmm,
it starts to be very crazy, very, very fast
mm-hmm,
when you think about
mm-hmm,
this.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And the question is, yeah, I don't know. It's just some idea to think about, because AI, because we kind of assume, very often it's assumed that the AI will not be able to change its goal. It's just the goals are set. They'll
yeah,
never change because they are sacred. Why would you want to change your goals? Doesn't make sense. But
mm-hmm,
if you somehow figure out that you can and you decide to,
mm-hmm,
then weird things can happen. And
indeed,
if I could program myself that I did, the most enjoyable thing to do for me in the morning is to do push-ups for
mm-hmm,
15 minutes, I would
mm-hmm,
immediately press the button.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's maybe the technology will be there, but it will go to weird place. We will get to weird places with this technology. So this is just some idea.
You know, I, uh, I I read this book, by Dante. It's about the seven levels of hell. Like it's called the
Hmm.
Inferno. It's about seven levels of hell,
Should I read
and
it?
it's very depressing. But anyway, he
I
goes,
like this pressing.
this traveler, he goes into hell, and then he sees, and each circle, first circle he comes across is like all the people who were never baptized, they're in hell, right? Second
Hmm.
circle, third circle, like, and then he
Hmm.
goes to the last circle, it's all the rapists and murderers, they're all in the
Hmm.
wall. um, and the thing is, like, when you take a step back and you look at it from like from the viewpoint of like a 14th 13th century Vatican priest, we are already in the bad place, right? Like we like largely unbaptized. Many homosexuals. Many children out of wedlock. And so to someone from the 13th or 14th century, to a Vedic priest from there, the future as it looks in the 21st century is the bad place, is all the bad things that they didn't want to happen kind of happened. And so this is like their idea of hell right now.
No, but
um,
wait, but you are isn't it one thing is like what's happening, and the hell is like the what happens when you don't do something, right? It's not like
yeah, so all of the bad things that they thought would
they
end
would
up
think
people in
that we are
hell.
going to hell, but
Yeah,
not that
yeah,
we are
yeah.
in
and
hell
and and
already.
and, and so to them, like, we are, this is the bad state of affairs, basically.
Okay.
um, and it doesn't look good to them. So just like that, what comes in the future to us right now might not look great, but maybe to the people of the future, it will be kind of normal and you know great, right?
I
So
I kind of think that a lot of the things that a lot of the people at that time kind of knew that some of the things people believed are bullshit. They just couldn't talk about it. It's not
mhm.
like everyone thought
It's not
that.
everyone agreed. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Which is why I say, like, the 13th, 14th century Vedic priests and not like the public, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I suspect there'll be some of that where the future might not look good to us right now if you knew it, but to the people of the future, they kind of actively, path dependently, kind of chose that future over time, and
Hmm.
their ancestors did, or we did, and they ended up there because of that. So you know, it's hard to judge on a time basis because we don't have the context of the future as we predicted right now.
But I think mostly why people thought some things are bad or wrong is just based on their information of why is
Okay,
it
yeah,
wrong. Like there's
yeah.
like you need to be you shouldn't be homosexual because I don't know why they thought it's bad, but
Hmm.
probably because God told them so. Like this was the answer
Yeah,
to most of the things because
yeah,
God told you so. And
yeah.
I'm so actually so glad that now it's still there a lot
Yeah.
in some places of the world. But actually, just a fun fact: as you know, I'm from Czech Republic, and it's
Mm-hmm.
notoriously known for being one of the most atheist countries in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it's like when someone is when someone believes here, it's almost a weird thing. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you believe, interesting. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
expect that. Like it's and I really like to. This is the way how we look at things, and there are some countries where it's opposite. But uh, I really feel it. So it feels to me that people are getting out of this weird loop of why do we do this because it's written in the Bible. It's kind of instead of
Yeah.
thinking deeply about and sometimes it's similar, like why is this wrong because it's unlawful, like there's
Yeah.
law that says you shouldn't do it. Like people actually sometimes mistaken something being bad
Mm-hmm.
for it being not in the law. Like
Yeah.
it's doesn't they kind of accept the law as like a absolute truth. And
Truth. Yeah.
I believe that it's maybe getting a little bit better, that people are
Mm-hmm.
kind of thinking more about and being more open about what's wrong and what's right and trying to think things through. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe like we would be less kind of offended or surprised by the future, because I think now we are more open to thinking
Mm.
about what's possible and whatnot. Maybe here I'm optimistic. Maybe it's not really like that, but I think
Uh,
I think it's the
indeed,
case.
indeed.
Okay.
And maybe on that we'll end the podcast. Michael, thank you so much. Really enjoyable to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and we'll put the podcast up in like probably a week or 2 weeks, and
Hmm.
I'll send you the link. Thank you so
Okay.
much for your time. Bye bye.
Thank you for your time too.
Bye bye.